I found this Midcentury dresser listed for pretty cheap on Facebook Marketplace, and after picking it up, I confirmed that it was a rare Bassett Colorama dresser. Overall, it seems to be in pretty good shape. There's obviously these dings to the paint, but I do not think that's like into the surface of it. And there are some, there's some veneer damage. Maybe it wasn't on this side. But like right there at the end, just things like that. I'm sure I'll find more as I work on it, and I'll have to take all this paint off. I don't know if that's primer. It's not wanting to come off the scratch test, so it's probably gonna be fun to take off. You can see there is veneer damage there. It's really fun. It's missing the drawer sticks a little bit. This one, it's missing the little inserts here, but honestly, I'm not going to go with that look. But I'm hoping that I can strip this in here, and I don't know if I'll keep it. We'll see what's underneath. I might do like a color just on the diamonds, and then leave the rest a stained wood. But I don't know, kind of gotta see what we have after it's all off, all the paint's off. So first step is to get all this paint off. I am using Clean Strip's premium stripper. You'll see that I'm wearing a respirator because this stuff is pretty stinky and dangerous to breathe in. So I am trying to protect myself as much as possible. I also have on gloves. This product works really, really well. You just pour it on there generously, and I have a cheap chip brush that I'm going to spread it around on there. It really works generally within about 15 minutes. One thing, sometimes I'm cheap because it is an expensive stripper to use, but I've found that it's going to work best with being really generous. You can see how it has bubbled up, and then after scraping it the first round, I'm going back through to get this primer that is still on there off. For the final step, I am using some mineral spirits and a steel wool pad to scrape along the surface and get off a lot of this remaining primer that's left on there. It's a great, easy final step to get the last remnants off. Okay, here it is in better daylight. See, there's still some primer on there, but there are a lot of scratches, and it is straight up plastic on top. So my original hope to strip and stain this is gone, so I'll be painting this, and I think I'll probably end up painting this side, both sides too. This, I think, is a veneer, a very thin veneer. I might be wrong. Still kind of, I don't know, it looks more like a wood veneer, but then it doesn't feel as much like one. So I don't know, I gotta figure that out. But I think I'll still be painting this now, and then stain the wood drawers. And goodness, trying to get the paint out of these inset diamonds was such a pain. Basically the middle part of it wasn't that bad, but just getting up under the edge, and there was just a lot of paint. And so I had to work at this for a while. Honestly, this entire dresser took a long time, but these drawers with the detail were the worst. And I was also trying to sand around there and sand it smoothly. Like, it didn't end up perfect in the end, but I did my best, and that's what you do, and you learn from each experience, and hopefully get better for the next time. Okay, so I've gotten a lot of that first little bit of sanding done along the perimeter, and I will be about to scuff sand the top, so I can just go ahead and have that done. And I tested out here on the legs if I could just sand that off, and that's sanding off really well. So I think I'm gonna stain those, have the drawers stained, and then I'm still deciding whether or not I'm gonna stain this part or paint it like everything else will be. So I don't know, still thinking on it. Okay, so I'm going to tackle this leftover paint here in this crevice. I got this little kit, fellow flipper had it on her Instagram stories, and I was like, I need that. Like, this one just itself is like really great for little crevices, and then you can use the round side, like I'm using it to sand here and get that. So great little accessory to have for sanding some of these detailed areas, because they're kind of a pain. Okay, so I just have some 80 grit sandpaper. You can tell I've been using it already. Just wrap it around like so, and then go to town. Angle is a little bit easier for me to pressure on it. Okay, this time for whatever reason, it was more wanting to get the wood, which is kind of frustrating that I did that. I guess with just the angle, I couldn't tell that I was taking out the wood and not the paint. But I mean, kind of as you can see too, there's even like a gap there. And so what I think I'll probably do, because since I'm painting this side anyways, is just fill that with caulk caulk, and it'll be smoothed out and have a good surface for to prime it and then paint it. Okay, so I have a pretty big section of veneer here that is gone. Looks like it was kind of filled by someone before, but I'm going to fill this area with Bondo, and we should hopefully get it nice and smooth out. Might take a couple applications, but we'll see. And this is the one I use. You can use, you know, there's all-purpose ones. Basically, any Bondo will work. I just got this from Lowe's, and you can find it on Amazon. I can link it in the description, but it's really great. It's a two-part epoxy. You have like a filler. You'll see me doing it, but the little filler that you add is what makes it harden faster. So kind of the more you use, the quicker it will harden. But if you're having a section like this, I probably will add maybe a little bit less, and that'll give me more time to work it and smooth it with my tools. And then, you know, I might have to wait more like 30 minutes to sand versus the 15 that it can harden. I just wanted to note here that I am wearing a respirator even though I'm outside. This product is really strong with its vapors, and it's unhealthy for you to breathe, so I'm always just very careful with working with any type of product like this. So I would highly recommend wearing one as well. I'm using this tool to help smooth out the Bondo and also wipe away any excess so I have less sanding. I think it also helps with getting it down to any grooves and nicks that are already on the surface. And I'm just going along the edge of the already existing veneer, trying to line it up. And, you know, this is my first pass, so there will be a little bit more work after this dries and I sand it down, but it makes it, you know, less work in the end if you do this smoothing. All right, so here's after my first round, and I sanded. You can see it's still not completely flush, and it just needs at least another round. I was hoping it was just going to take me 2, so we'll see, but I don't know. I feel like looking at this, it's probably going to need 3 to get it looking good. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for now, although I'm not looking at that. It's not as smooth as I'd like right there. It's a little frustrating, but I know we can work at it. But overall, otherwise, it's pretty good. Alright, so I've actually used one of these little attachments and wrapped 120 sand grit paper. Or grit sandpaper around it, and I'm gonna attach it here to my sander, so then when I go to sand here, I can just use this guy and not have to do it manually. She is finally prepped for primer. I will need to tape off the legs since I will be staining those. Fortunately, I did find where like this was filled. Oh, looks like I missed a spot. I'm gonna have to sand there, but I'll have to kind of blend that in once the legs are stained, because I'm hoping to stain those to kind of go along with the drawers. But and there she is. So I'm excited to finally be done with all that and be able to get going on making her look pretty. For primer, I am using, it's by Zinsser, their stain blocking primer, and it's oil base. So anytime I'm dealing with oil base, I try to just use it in a spray can if I can, because cleanup is way more complicated, in my opinion, with using oil-based product in your sprayer. So I'm just using this one. I picked it up from Walmart. I imagine Amazon also sells it, but I can link it for you. After the fact, I feel like maybe an oil base wasn't quite as necessary, because this wood doesn't have a lot of bleed through quality, so I could have used a water-based stain, but that's just something I've learned as I've finished some more pieces. As far as method goes, you want to try to make pretty quick strokes. You don't want to stay in one spot for very long, because if you do, that will cause dripping and just kind of a pain to sand down. So you just want to go lightly, and if you need to, come back with another coat. Okay, so it looks pretty good after just one coat of primer. It's not completely covered, but because I'm using a dark paint, I'm not too worried about bleed through. And I just plan to smooth this down, sand it. Excuse me. There were like some spots where there's some drips where I oversprayed, and I'll smooth that out and then get any spots that I maybe need to fill. Any holes like that still doesn't look very good. And then hopefully we'll be able to paint here. For sanding, I am just using a 320 grit sanding block. This helps it get really nice and smooth for the paint to lay on there best. You'll also notice I'm wearing my respirator. I try to be really careful about this because when you're sanding, you might not see it, but it's blowing fine particles up into the air and it's really bad for you to breathe in. All right, finally getting to paint. This is kind of using Sherwin-Williams urethane trim enamel. Goodness, if I can get that out. The color's Ripe Olive. It's a really pretty dark green. Okay, so I've got my paint cup there, filter to get any of the specks or things that might be in the paint, because you see I've used this before, and it's just helpful that it doesn't clog up the sprayer while you're using it. All right, and then I have on this little attachment. I love it. I use it, for any kind of painting, just to keep the rim cleaner. So there we go. I'm just kind of gotta wait for it to drain, and then I'll thin it out a little bit with a little bit of water. A lot of people say filtered water. I honestly don't go to that trouble, but it wouldn't hurt if you want to do that. As you can see, it is, well, it looks like it might be over 500, but it's really right about 500. It just kind of sloshed up on the side for moving it around. So usually it's about 10% of water compared to the ratio of the paint, and so I'll add about 50 milliliters of paint there to get the consistency I'm looking for. Okay, I've got it stirred all in. See, it's coming off of that really well. There are special cups you could get to measure the viscosity, but I haven't gotten into that yet. I just kind of go by look and feel when I'm stirring it. So this is the exciting part. It's time to paint. I am doing some test sprays here. My spray gun has both an airflow adjustment and then also how much product is coming out. For paint, I usually have the airflow at about a 4, and then, I'm not sure what percentage for the product that it is, because just where the knob is, you can't quite tell, but I would say I have it about 75%, but I just do some test sprays on a piece of cardboard to make sure it's how I like, and then I get to spraying. You'll see that I also have the drawers in since they're inset. This is just a really easy way to get the drawers sprayed, and then I can come back and touch up the edges of the drawers once I've painted everything. As far as method goes for spraying, you will see that I am overlapping each time by about 50%. You can also do a little bit more. It just kind of depends on the coverage that you're getting. Then I'm also not breaking my wrist as I go. There around the diamonds I was a little bit, but that was just because I was needing to get in some weird spots. But I'm trying to make smooth, even passes on them. Okay, so it has actually been a few days since I've been able to get out and work on anything. We've had a lot of rain. I had homeschool with the kids, just life. So once I was finished painting, you can see it's like a lot of bubbling. I don't know what that is, but lots of little bubbles on here, so it is not smooth. I'm not sure exactly why it did that. Wondering if maybe since it was cold that it just didn't flatten out like it usually would. But there are also like lots of little scratches. All right, this angle is better, but like you can see all along here some scratches, and goodness, even the bubbles are much more noticeable at this angle. But I am going to try to be filling those. It's not probably going to be very fun, but it's the first time to try it. I've seen a lot of people using it, so I'm going to try to, well, I'll sand it smooth with the bubbles, and then I will fill with these two guys. All right, so I've hopefully filled in those kind of deeper scratches. This worked really well, it seems like. You can see where it still remains in those scratches, you know, the lines. So it did a really good job. It feels smooth. You know, we'll see once we get paint on there, but it filled it in really well. And then it sanded off pretty easily. I really like, so this is new for me too. Really like that the speed is adjustable, so I didn't have it on super high. You can kind of gently sand it. So I'm gonna wipe it down and get another coat of paint on there. So here we are after another coat of paint. Unfortunately, it revealed that I had swirl marks all over my surface from my orbital sander. I think I was just going too fast and didn't let the sander do its job slowly like I should have. All right, so I am encouraged by this actually. I had watched a video yesterday and it said that like usually your three issues are you have an old sanding pad, or you're pressing too hard or going too fast. So I thought might have been a combo. It was I was moving it too fast and also pressing too hard, and you know, it could have even been the sanding pad. So I tried all three of those corrections just now, and it's a lot better. I see like maybe like tiniest bit right there. I'll go back over it, but it just looks a lot smoother, and I don't see any swirl marks here, so pretty excited. I'll do the rest and hopefully get to painting here. Next up is staining the drawer fronts. I'm just using a water-based wooden conditioner. This helps with preparing the surface for the stain. That way when you do apply the stain, it reduces the chances of it going on splotchy when you wipe it back. So I'm just doing the front and all the edges with the 2-inch foam brush, and then you let that sit according to the directions on the can, and then you would wipe back any excess before it dries. Now I'm going to wipe back the excess that's on here. I think the can that I used said for about 10 minutes and to let it sit on there. And I'm just using a paper towel here. You could use a lint-free cloth, but I don't find that it's necessary for it to be lint-free during this process. Okay, so it's still damp from the preconditioner, but you know, one thing I noticed as I was wiping away, there's like still some tiny little specks. Yeah, you can kind of see it focusing. So, I don't know, we'll see what that's like when I put the stain on, but hopefully it's not gonna be too much of an issue. I did have to put some filler in some spots, and I'll work with that to blend it. Not really had a whole lot of experience with that, but I won't be able to say that, I guess, after this time. And here I decided not to fill it. I think I'll probably just color it in, because I've seen some others do that. But overall, be really pretty. Now it is time for stain. I'm using Minwax water-based stain in the color Special Walnut. Again, I'm using a 2-inch foam brush to apply it. You can use other methods you like, but this has worked pretty well for me. So you do want to work a little quickly. I am just going to be putting it on this one drawer front, getting it on all the surfaces, and then I will immediately start wiping it back so it doesn't start to dry, because if it does start to dry on you, that's when you will get streakiness and it just will not look good. Now that it's stained, I can start trying to color match and blend the repaired areas. You know, I'm still learning at this. I am using a kit of paints that has just a lot of different shades of brown, and so I'm just going through with paintbrushes and the colors and a little mixture of colors and trying my best to match it. It doesn't end up being perfect, but I think, you know, for repairing the areas, like it's not that bad, and you kind of have to be looking for it on the dresser. So I have also, since recording this video, I've gotten a set of Mohawk's blending sticks, and they are phenomenal. They are an investment, so, you know, that might not be something that you want to invest in. I totally understand that. It took me a while to actually be willing to pay for them, but they've become my favorite. But this painting set that I'm using here is also really good. Okay, so, you know, these were primed before, and I basically could not get off all the white in there, and I've been trying to think of a solution, you know, where it just doesn't look kind of janky. So I am going to try a paint wash, which I just have this, I forget which, taupe tone. It is a latex paint, which I would never say to, like, you know, paint furniture with it. But it works just fine for a paint wash. So I don't measure, you know, super close, but I'm going to do kind of a 1-to-1 ratio and mix it up, and then just paint it on here, and then wipe it off, and I'm just going to see kind of what I think about it. Alright, update. I don't like it. Just looks way too streaky. So, unfortunately, I am going to paint them. But honestly, it would have been hard for them to fully match the drawers anyways, so just is what it is. Okay, so she is finally ready for top coat. There are a few, like, or quite a few, really, bubbles on the surface there. So I have a really fine grit. It's just 400. I'm gonna sand over it and hopefully smooth these out some before adding the top coat, so it'll be nice and smooth. So for the top coat, I'm going to use General Finishes. I already have the top off. I need to be careful. The high performance flat, and I just went ahead and left a little bit of green in there because I would have added it anyways. This helps with a darker color, that you don't have any of like the foggy look that can sometimes happen with a clear coat on a dark color. So I'll just pour clear coat in here and mix it together. You know, I will, since it's basically only for the screen and I only have a little bit of it left, like I will try to waste as little as possible and just probably, you know, put it up to here maybe, because I'll probably do 2 coats. So get it going. Okay, I'm just gonna let you see me stirring this to give you an idea of what it's gonna end up looking like. So we'll darken it pretty well, but this will help it look good when it dries. Now with spraying the top coat, I use the same method of overlapping by about 50% for each pass. I do adjust my spray settings for the airflow to just be at 1 or 2, and then also the amount of product being sprayed out is at a lower amount because of how the top coat is thinner. I went ahead and went over the little grooves that are on the bottom there first without the drawers in, and then I carefully put the drawers in so I could then spray the top coat on the drawers. All right, now it is time to line the drawers. My method is to overlap it just a little bit, and then that way I have a little bit of excess to work with on each side, and then cut it down to size. The lining on the back often has lines. That makes it helpful. And what I like to do is I like to line up the part that I'm not going to cut with the front of the drawer, because that's the side that like you're going to see first, and you might not always see the back. So, you know, if you've cut it with your knife along the back and it's not quite perfect, that's at least not what you're seeing when you open the drawer. So that's my method. You're going to see me struggle with this. Usually it goes so much better. But I was just having trouble with it laying down smooth, and so I just scrap it and start all over. But this is my method and for doing this, and I do have a full-length video that I can put in the comments or in the description, and where you can watch it where it's a slower speed and I walk through more of what I'm doing at, you know, real-time pace. All right, so I've finally got this down how I like it, and I'm just using an old Chick-fil-A gift card to smooth it out. I've also started using Bondo scrapers. There's these plastic, a little bit larger pieces that have a flat edge, and it's really great for smoothing out, and I'll have that linked in the description as well. But once you get it all smoothed out, you just take an X-Acto knife of some sort and just cut carefully along the edges and peel it back. So here it is, all flattened out. There's the front where I didn't have to cut it all. And then there's the side. There's a little bit of gap, but I'm still okay with how that looks. And then here is the back. Okay, I'm like at my final thing that I have left to do. So last thing I like to do is line the drawers with some kind of wax just to, ooh, she is trying to bump that dresser. But I like to, you know, line it, oil up with some wax in the interior of the drawer, just so it, you know, kind of helps it keep nice, smooth, and gives moisture to where it might have dried out over the years, and it just gives it a good feel.
And then I'll also add it to the bottom here so that the drawers glide a little bit better than they would otherwise. So I'm just using Howard's Speed and Wax. There are lots of different kinds. Oh, this dog, I'm gonna have to get her to go away. Hey, you can't do that. You're gonna scratch the dresser. But so Speed and Wax, it's wood polish and conditioner. I like that it smells. It has like a little orange oil hint to it, and it doesn't smell like it's like artificial or anything. I'm pretty sensitive to smells, and this one's nice. So just squirt a little bit out. Not sure what else came out with that. And then I will start just rubbing it in there, and you see how it gives it a nice color. It won't be go watch her too. But it won't be like real greasy as it dries. You can come through and always, you know, rub off any excess as you deem necessary. But it just gives the drawers a really nice shine, and you know, I think it's a nice extra touch to show that you care about your end product.
As a reminder, here is where we started, and this is where we ended. I love it. This has definitely been my favorite flip so far. You know, I've had others before I started recording content for YouTube, but it was a great learning experience with all the needed repairs and just extra steps I had to do. If you've enjoyed this video and haven't yet subscribed, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. I plan on posting at least every 2 weeks, and I'd love for you to follow along on my journey.